Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 35, 37, and 65-year-old, two from Barrie, Ontario, and one from London, Ontario, Canada. One, a fifth-round draft pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their hockey journey took them to Canada, the USA, Norway, Slovenia, Austria, Italy, Norway, Germany, and Wales, where someday we expect number 24 will be in the rafters, Todd. They returned to the shed after episode 62, 68, 93, and have combined for 1,715 plays, goals, or listens. One of them worries me. They may make the shed legitimate with 230 regular season NHL games played and 5 playoffs with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Pittsburgh Penguins. The other is an Italian, British, and Allen Cup champion. And the first time I met him, we fell right in the pocket with a pile of Bayfield brews. Welcome back to the shed, Greg, Scott, and Andrew Hotham.
Sorry, wait, Greg's 65 years old? Jeez, he's old.
That's what the research team found.
I feel every year of it too.
Soon to be 66 too.
Before we start here too, is Wally in the shed or is he landing a plane with that headset? I'm not sure what's going on.
The IT team provided me with this one. It's not quite as cool as the last one, but you know,
Uses it to play Call of Duty at the same time.
price was right. So I get into how we know each other, and I guess you are the Hotham family, and I guess the way I started knowing you guys would be 2014-15 MBAs with Andrew Hotham and playing for the Cardiff Devils and being neighbors, right, Andrew?
Yeah, we're smart guys. We're masters.
Masters of business, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I'd like to know how you guys got that though.
We
Like,
cheated.
really.
Yeah. It actually is quite a bit of work in a year, though, isn't it?
It's all about copying the right people.
I was just going to say, there's 4 guys here, and 3 of them have master's degrees. So,
And I didn't copy off of anybody. You think I was copying off of some of those students?
You don't think you're getting help from Marshy?
I think I got more help from Luke Piggott.
That too. And then I got your papers, and I just rewrote yours.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you were always doing it last minute, right at the deadline. I'd be done weeks before.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't have kids.
That's true. So Scott, you also did the masters there too, right?
yeah, I did it while I was there too. I was lucky enough that maybe Andrew had some insight on some previous assignments as well.
The only part I hated was the writing, like how you had to put in where you found your information and the like Walton 2022 et al. You know, that shit.
Yeah,
And one of my papers put Walton there from Wally's paper.
Written in 2014, folks. And I guess so now I've had all of you in the shed, and good time to have you on because the 65-year-old fellow there on the top left, he was the one that was gracious enough to donate to the shed the signed Matt Sundin jersey that we are raising money to Sick Kids Toronto for the bang up job they did on my nephew's heart surgery. So that is up for raffle at aleshockeytales.com, and thank you very much, Greg.
Well, you're welcome. No, I think what'd you say it was $5 a ticket?
£5. Yeah, we went big.
£5. Oh,
It's Matt Sundin, right? Like,
for 10 Canadian, or is it 12 Canadian?
wow, I think it's like 8 and a bit, 9.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not like it's an Andrew Hotham jersey. This is a Matt Sundin jersey, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's put it this way. Hey, for a good cause, you got to throw out $8. It's not bad. Pretty good prize, and your money's going to a good cause. So
I got a funny story about it too, though. Is my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, so shout out to Zoe, happy birthday. But she asked where the envelopes were to make her cards for her birthday, and then she had one that was a little bigger and wider than the rest. I'm like, what's that one? And I grabbed it, and it was the letter from Mr. Rogers saying that the jersey was legitimate.
yeah, you need that one for sure, right?
Yeah, so Zoe was about to make that into a birthday card, but we caught her just in time.
It's like the old Seinfeld thing, right? With Steinbrenner and the birthday card, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, Seinfeld. I haven't watched that in a while. Great show.
That's the best show.
Make sure
on
you
TV.
frame it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, whoever wins this, folks, you get a signed Matt Sundin jersey, and we even still have the letter that says it is actual legitimate. So
Authenticity. Letter of authenticity.
that's what it's called.
There
So
you go.
folks, buy your ticket at aleshockeytales.com. And we actually have another jersey and stick up for raffle to help more. Charity is for Matt Caruth. It's a signed stick and game worn jersey that he'll sign for his nephew with hemophilia, which is a blood clotting disorder. So we're raising money for that as well. So, Shed's trying to get hot here, raise some money. So buy some tickets at aleshockeytales.com. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then Hoth or Andrew. Sorry, I can't just say Hoth. I guess that's all your names. But you said you have a time crunch tonight. You got some kind of an exam.
I got a big test tomorrow morning. Big test.
What's that?
I really thought I'm taking a course for at our police college. So it's been a 2-week course. Me and
if I know your studying skills, you haven't done shit yet. If it's tomorrow.
Well, luckily, Mr. Doug Clarkson sits right in front of me, so hopefully he's been paying attention.
There is no way you can see around his head to see his paper.
I was just gonna say, there's zero chance of that.
Seriously.
I've been making fun of his head and him in class all week, so I don't want to keep doing it over a podcast here.
Well, if we get him on the podcast, I'd love to know his hat size.
You're right.
Well,
I would too.
You should ask him when he first got hired on, when we had to wear our formal hats. They didn't have one big enough to fit him, so they had to order
just
a custom.
sat on top. Oh.
So they ordered him a custom hat to fit his head. So for the first 2 weeks, they gave him the biggest hat they could, and it just sat right on top.
I'm trying to remember. Did he have a special helmet? Like, how did he fit his noggin in the bucket? I don't even remember.
It was skin tight. He couldn't get anything else in there.
Yeah.
What do you think? He kept cutting his hair.
He came to play senior hockey. They brought him a large helmet and it didn't fit. They had to custom order him an XL or something.
Oh, so you played with Dougie too?
Yeah, and our senior team, Andrew. Did you play? You didn't play much that year though, did you?
No, I think we played 2 games with him, but
yeah, he joined our team there for a little while. Yeah, I played with him. That was my brief stint with Dougie as well.
Dougie's a beauty. What I was that year with Cardiff was, I say it all the time, but it was, when I look back on my career of hockey, that was my favorite year of hockey of all the years.
Andrew doesn't agree with you apparently. Yeah, in silence there. I think the better year was
with Brittig. I think his favorite year was with Brittig in Germany.
He was quite the motivator, that guy.
Brittig?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoyed learning a lot from him about how to work out when you're hurt or have a broken bone.
Mm-hmm.
But
didn't he also tell you that you couldn't take slap shots from the point?
Yeah, he did. I forgot about that.
Well,
yeah.
Andrew's never taken a slap shot anyway. It didn't affect him at all.
Yeah, I've never seen you take a slap shot.
I think I took one and then he told me I wasn't allowed to. So I think I started taking more and more just because he told me not to.
I could totally see you do that. There was a song on the radio today that made me think of you. Did you not, every time Lordo would come in for practice, you would say or play the song "We Went Out Last Night," Kenny Chesney?
No, I did play that a lot, only because it was our university school, our warm up. It was our first song we went out to for.
I thought it was to piss Lordo off, so he'd think we went out the night before. Because he used to play Fat Boy too, right?
Fat Boy. I used to play Buzzkill a lot when he came in too.
I still remember that coach, by the way, in Germany. I went to watch you play, and he's like, "We're getting on the bus, let's go." And you're like, "My brother drove from however far. I'll talk to him as long as I want to."
That same coach left me on an away game. We went to Schwinnigan and 2 wives came, my wife and Doug Anderson's wife, and we chatted with them and another couple from the other team after the game. And he didn't like that we were chatting and they left us there. So I understand.
And that was the beginning of the end.
That coach was something else though. You know what he made us do in Bietigheim was we would practice with snorkels on to make breathing harder, and they would be taped to our masks or our visors and helmets. And then he also made us do that in the parking lot. We would run around the parking lot with snorkels on, and then we'd carry guys on our back with snorkels on. It looked ridiculous.
I can
It
see what
sounds
he's going
ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
It's amazing guys like this get a job though in hockey. That's the scary part.
Well, and the scary part also was like when Hoth, you said he tells you to work out injured, right? Like he was the one when my knee was partially torn that got me to come back too early, and then I fully tore it and missed the whole season. So way to go, buddy.
If you would have told him it was a muscle though, my muscle's sore. Oh, okay, then you take time off. But no, my leg's completely broken. Nah, I think you're okay. It's just a break.
Just gotta tape it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tape an aspirin to it.
Yeah. So I guess well, Andrew and I have covered our worst coaches. You guys got anything to say?
I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a few interesting ones there.
Funny
Trying to
thing is,
think.
I won the championship with that guy because our team was that good, which sucks.
That's always the way too. The bad guys somehow get by with like a good team that there's no way they couldn't coach up bad players, but they can somehow not screw up good players.
Wow, he screwed up a lot of guys on our team that year, man. It was wild what he did to some people mentally, and I guess Andrew might know some of that.
I don't think our third forward was allowed to leave the blue line for checking.
My line, like, so me and Justin Kelly were allowed to do what we wanted, but the other guys literally weren't allowed to do much at all. Like, I remember at one point he said shots from the red line were always a threat. So if you skated past the red line without shooting it, that was bad. Like he's like, Waldo, like, what are you doing? I told you that a shot from the red line is always a threat. And I'm like, well, there was nobody in front of me, so I kept going.
Is it a threat though? You're on a breakaway.
Well, I don't.
Stanny's shooting, it would be.
Too tiny.
Yeah.
He scored on Patrick Waugh.
We had a coach, I forgot about a university. He would take our warm-up drill was like breakouts from the other end, and he would take clappers from the other goal crease to the other end of the ice. And he would score on the goalie though, because they'd be like, they would just hover across the ice and they would rise. Our goalies hated it. Hated it.
I could just see Steiny doing that too.
He did that drill every day because he loved it. He just wanted to shoot on the
goalies. Okay. So we'll start with Greg. Where and what are you doing now?
I'm retired right now. I look after AAA hockey here in Barrie. I'm the chairman of AAA, and I also am president of the Leaf alumni. And that gets me through the wintertime, and then in the summer I golf a bit. So
I bet research team was hot today looking for a picture, and something popped up saying you're a club champion.
I was back in 2007. I think I was second about half a dozen times, and then I've been 3-time senior club champion. And my buddy and I won the Ontario Senior Better Ball one year. So love to play.
Better Ball. That's just the best score in the hole between the two of you.
Correct. Yeah.
Not a scramble.
Can you define golfing a bit in the summer? What is a bit to you?
So last year or 2 summers ago, I played 164 days in a row. And then
rain or shine.
Rain or shine. Then last year I played 163 days in a row. Rain or shine, doesn't matter.
163 days in a row and 164 days in a row?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more than a bet, sir.
And then he complains his back is sore.
Are you walking that much?
No, I used to walk, but Scott just said, like, I got some issues with my back because of hockey and my shoulders as well.
Not golfing 164 days in a row.
Yeah, but believe it or not, though, actually, the more I golf, the better my back feels. Especially when it's nice and warm or hot out, then it loosens up a bit. But if now, I used to walk all the time, no issues, but now my back really starts to hurt after about 14 holes.
Yeah,
So I take a
my
cart.
knees hurt after a hole or two. I don't ever walk. I'd rather not golf. Bayfield Brewing Company, advocating lieutenant. Yeah, I can't.
Scott,
walk
where's
a
your
golf
beers?
course. That's too far.
I was too short notice. I couldn't order them in again. And apparently they're too potent too. Those are heavy.
We were in the pocket.
Delicious. Yeah.
we chatted for a while, and so my last episode, guy from Western Michigan, that's an NHL agent. We fell right in the pocket for 2 hours, and then my computer said there wasn't enough storage, and it said I'd be able to retrieve this file once I made room, and I could not. So we lost 2 hours of us really diving deep and and it's gone. So we're gonna have to try again once we calm down. I was sick to my stomach the next day, man. It was brutal. So sorry, Matt. But we made some space, so we're good to go tonight.
Well, that's good.
Oh shit. Okay, Scott, where and what are you doing now?
Just commercial banking with CIBC still. So I manage a portfolio.
MBA.
MBA degree there, helped out with that one, I think. So manage a portfolio of 40-ish clients and do lending anywhere from 1 to 5 to 10-ish million kind of space. So
Jeepers.
been doing that since I retired, so about 4 years now.
Dove right in, huh?
Straight into the deep end, yeah.
Okay. And Hoth, you're ruining people's days, giving out tickets.
They shouldn't have been going 51 and a 50. I told them to slow down. They didn't want to.
I was actually thinking about what we talk about today because I don't really have plans for the group ones. And I was thinking that I could picture you being somewhat like the Super Trooper cops. Like you'd just be fucking with people.
What? You don't want to answer? Meow?
Yeah. I picture him sitting like downtown and watching the parking meter being like, oh, there's 3 minutes left. I'll wait for that to expire and give him a ticket.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
There's no grace period. Without rules, there's chaos.
Hey, I agree with you.
So how's it going? The whole thing is how you see Dougie a lot then still?
I've been off basically the last month between courses, vacation, and having COVID. I haven't really been working at all. It's been great.
Oh.
But yeah, I've seen Dougie the last couple of weeks. So
and you got
I go back
test
on Monday just in time for a big trucker convoy to hit Toronto. Can't wait.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
And then Scott, you're at you still live in the grandparents' house, right?
I was there earlier tonight, actually. Sorry. I'm at my grandparents' house, and then I was at my parents' house tonight earlier on as well.
Right. I remember from when we fell in the pocket, you have bought the old grandparents' home, right?
That's where I am right now, and kept all the furniture. I like the 60s vibe, so I'm kidding.
How's it smell? Smell good too?
Mothballs.
Mothballs, yeah, mothballs.
Okay.
Can we just look at those pictures there in the back of the big guy's background?
Oh yeah.
Look at that mustache.
Look at the hair too, though. His hair was very similar to yours, eh? Like the
you want to know the best part of it? He would get so upset when we were in high school and we wouldn't cut our hair. To the point he was yelling at us that it was time to leave. Cut our hair.
No, that's BS. I never yelled at you ever.
Is this
Scott?
where the issues came from, Andrew? Because you always made fun of my hair, and I didn't feel like I had any hair issues.
Hey, you know what? Well, your hair was great in the
Is that-
90s.
No,
I have
I
have an odd shaped head, and there's not much I can do with it. Like my hair's too thin. I can't grow
flat
it
down
long.
with
What do you want me to do?
the push up on the front.
But I found it interesting because you had like you have the worst hair on the team, and you're making fun of mine, and I'm like, what? I don't get it.
Well, not after he got a hold of Ken Picton, though. Ken did wonders with that salad. It wasn't good going in there.
He did. He did great with everybody's lettuce, right?
Well, that's how good he is.
But
He's
I'll
the
be
president.
honest, before he got there, it wasn't that good.
He is the president. He's the best there is in Cardiff.
Yeah, well, they say he's high up in Britain in hair cutting, right?
He's the I don't know what they call it, the president or whatever it is of the hair cutting
Association.
So
I
like
can't
kind of
remember
like
the
the
term for it,
president
but-
of the Leafs alumni type thing.
Well,
Okay.
he didn't become president, so he could say he had the top 5 haircut in Leaf history.
Okay, I got a question then. So you, Greg, you then had kids, the research team was hot. You had kids. Scott, like the last year you were in the NHL with Pittsburgh. So it was the summer after that season, or when was it?
Yeah, well, Scott was born, he's in 84. So I was in Pittsburgh, I think that year, that summer he was born. I actually got sick. I had mono for about 5 months. And so I played maybe about a dozen games that year in Pittsburgh. And it was a different year because him just being, in the first 6 months of his life, didn't know where I was going to be, whether I was going to be in Pittsburgh or not, and when I was going to go down. I ended up going to the American League and then playing a dozen games. And so Scott ended up coming down and his mom came down for Christmas in Pittsburgh. He actually had dinner with Mario Lemieux as a 6-month-old.
Really?
And then I got sent to Baltimore, and then they ended up going home, staying in Barrie, and then I just went to Baltimore and played the year out there.
Wow.
So that's how it happened for his first 6-8 months anyway.
Yeah, North American pro, at least when you're a bubble guy going up and down in whatever league, like once you throw kids and a wife in the mix, that's tough,
Yeah, but that was the only year that I went up and down. I think 2 or 3 years before that, I was in Pittsburgh, and that was before obviously Scott was born. So, but hey, life in hockey, you just never know, right? You're going to be moving here, moving there, and you could be up, you could be down. And that was one of the reasons why I never even decided. I decided not to go into coaching. Right? It's just I'd already been moving around for 14 years essentially, and then all of a sudden now you're gonna start moving around again, and the 2 boys would never have
a home.
no, there wouldn't be any roots at all, right? It would you'd just be like a gypsy and just be moving from place to place. So
Well, there are people that live that life, right?
yeah, you know what, and it's great on the surface. If you do well, make some good money, and you're in the NHL for a long time or American League, whatever, it's great. But there's a lot of casualties there as well, right?
A lot of sacrifice,
right,
for sure.
So that was at the time when I was retiring. I think it was 1990. I think I could have kept playing. Could have gone to Europe, and even the old I could have gone back and played there. But for the sake of playing one more year, I've already played 14 years. What am I going to get out of it, really, at the end of the day? So I decided to retire, and especially give these guys a stable place, right? And so
what, you're retired now. What did you do?
So I got into, actually the first year or two, I was Mr. Mom, because Janine, their mother, was a school teacher, and so I just stayed home, and then I got into the electrical business. I was in the electrical business for about almost 20 years, and then I got into real estate investment and did that for about 8 years, and then retired.
Nice.
When you were Mr. Mom, how were you at brushing her hair on pitcher day?
Andrew, there's nothing you can do by brushing your hair. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The
He
nest.
said grade 2 pitchers, we were the only kids ties on. We looked professional.
They look great too.
Leather ties.
Yeah.
Leather ties, zip
They
ties.
zipped up too. They zipped up, right?
I think I had a zip up tie too.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
Andrew used those at the pro level too. He still never learned.
So you did play another 4 or 5 years, like with kids, right? And I always talk about how special it was to play with Colby around and coming on the ice. Then Zoe did, like, that's not really a thing in North America. Like, your kids don't go on the ice after a game with you or anything, right?
No, I mean, so Scott was 6 years old when I retired. So, but he would have, I don't know how much he remembered. He can tell you that, but he used to, Christmas parties and all that. And he was really right into the hockey. He had started playing, I think his first year was at 4 or 5 years old. So he had already started playing hockey already. And then Andrew, he was only 4 years old, and he didn't like skating at all. Surprise, surprise, right? But
He never did.
but he did like, putting the stick in his hands and stuff like that. But he didn't like skating, and then eventually he got into it and so on. But yeah, so I think Scott remembers a little bit because he used to bring him in the dressing room, and
Scott, do you?
Right?
I remember. I remember like snapshots. So I remember having to take naps before going to the games all the time. And I could never sleep. I would watch the clock go around on the wall, but they'd make me lay down. And now
you were trained young to be a pro hockey player.
Yeah, but as a kid, you don't want the nap. Now as an adult, I would die for a nap. But like I understand now as a parent why they made me nap. So they would get peace and quiet for a little while. And then I remember being at the games, but I don't remember really watching, but I do remember going in the dressing room and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool putting the goalie's helmet on and just sort of going in the dressing room and thinking it was pretty neat.
Well, see, Colby wouldn't remember this stuff, but what I remember was like, Andrew, when we were in Cardiff that year, we'd win a game and Colby would be dishing out the beers out of the cooler, right?
Yeah, nobody had to get up. It was perfect.
It was, yeah, and like we were training, he'd go get the beers and pass them around to all the boys after a game. It's shit I'd never forget. Okay, so Andrew, you remember anything about that time or no?
I don't remember anything about him playing. I think my first memory is going in the dressing room when he used to coach the Junior B Barrie Colts or whatever they were back then.
Yeah.
I think I remember going in the room there, but that was first memory for me.
So you coached like an actual junior team?
Yeah. So after I retired, they asked me to help out. I was the defense coach for the Barrie Colts before they went to OHL, and I only went the 1 year, and then the following year they won the Sutherland Cup. So they had John Madden. I think he had 50 goals. There was one other guy, Steve Walker, I think his name was, and he scored like 50. They had a great team, and had a good team the year I was there as well, but not as good as the following year. And Barrie Colts were really, back in those days, were known as a really solid junior B team. They used to bring in guys from Northern Ontario and so on. And so, and then they got the OHL. I think it was probably about 3 to 4 years later, maybe 95, something like that. So, yeah, so, I coached for a little bit. And then when these guys started their hockey, I coached each one of them. I can't remember if it was Scott for 2 years or 3 years, and then Andrew for 2 or 3 years.
So do you guys remember that when he was your coach?
Yeah, it was horrible.
So
how do you think you played today?
So obviously I've been coaching Colby, and he did ask me to be the coach again next year, but I'm pretty hard on him. And like, Greg, I don't know what you were like, but like, when you know what they can do, and then sometimes they're not doing it, you can get pretty firm with them, right?
Well, I mean, that's the thing with coaching, right? Is sometimes maybe as a parent, you're a little tougher on your kids, but at the end of the day, who can take it and who can't. Well, I think, like when you see somebody and they have some sort of talent, it doesn't matter whether it's these two or somebody else, and they're not pushing or not taking advantage of the talent they have. The whole idea with coaching is you got to push, poke, prod, do whatever you can to get them to play the best they can, right? I mean, that's basically your job. And the old thing is you got to be firm and fair. And if you're firm and you're fair with them, then
so we were in the semifinals of our day tournament last Sunday, and Colby had a great first game, and he was a bit out of steam the second game. And the first shift, he literally was floating around doing nothing. And he came to the bench, and like in front of the other kids, I said, "Hey, Colby, the ref dropped the puck. The game," like I said it like maybe loud enough, maybe some people heard, but I was like, the game started, like it's time to start playing. And I also taught him that like maybe like when you have the puck, sometimes if a guy tries to get in your way, if you drop your shoulder, the ref usually doesn't call a penalty on the guy with the puck. Well, Colby just laid a kid out and then stood over top of him, and it was bad. So I think I poked and prodded a little too much because he just crushed a kid.
Yeah, but
Let
they
me-
learn though, right? So
Right.
Let me know when you get to the in the car there and you ask Colby, how do you think you played today?
So is that what
Then
you
it-
would do? You just ask for, well, you gotta look in the mirror. You gotta, it's like when I
Well-
cook dinner for the family, I always check out what I did to see where I
Well,
could improve next time.
It's a loaded question, right? It's
It's
how do you think
there's
you
no
did?
good answer.
I didn't play very good. Yeah, you're damn right. You didn't play good.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
There was a lot
I
of
thought I
times where
played. I thought I played well today. You think you played well?
no, but there were times where you said, I didn't think I played well. And I said, no, I think you did. Right. So the whole idea behind all that is that, I saw so many parents say to their kids, great game. And I'm going, I just saw the same game you saw, and it was complete opposite. So the only reason I kept asking these guys all the time is I wanted them to be honest about their game.
Mhm.
Right. And if you're not honest about your game, then you'll never learn, how to, shouldn't say play, but you need to know how well you're playing. And if you're just keep getting, oh, you're playing great, Scott, you're playing great, Andrew. You think that in your head you are, even though you're not. So you got to understand your game, right? So that's the reason why I kept asking them all after the games, how do you think you played?
Well,
And
it's
it got-
very true. You do have to be very self-aware of like if what you did well and what you didn't, and like most of the guys that do well in hockey usually know when they're the ones that effed up, right?
Well, absolutely, right. And so, did that help him in the long run? I don't know, probably, but I wasn't gonna falsely praise him for a good game if they didn't play a good game. It's not that
I
right?
agree. You got to just be honest. It's like I tell Colby when he plays good and when he is just average or like tired looking, and there's a lot of, sometimes hockey players are good and sometimes they're not, right? And like with kids, what if they have to piss and they just don't say anything? Then they're gonna have a bad game, and you're like, man, just go piss. So Scott, what ages was it that he coached you?
Oh, I can't remember. I
No?
can't remember at all, to be honest with you. Which ages? I know he coached me probably at least 3 or 4 years of my growing up.
Oh,
so-
that's quite a bit then. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 3. I think it was 3 years. I'm trying to remember if it was like 12, 13, 14. Back then did they have minor and major back in those days?
Yeah, minor,
Yeah.
major.
Right. So, but I think it might have been your peewee. Was it your peewee year?
Maybe minor Bantam.
Minor Bantam, maybe. And I think it was Andrew. I think I did peewee, minor Bantam, and
So that's somewhat
major
older.
Bantam.
I'm like coaching basically Adam or under 11 right now. So I'm still pretty young for these guys.
Well, you know what? I purposely watched other guys coach them until I didn't have any teeth left after grinding them for about 2 or 3 years, right?
Or they fell out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
You're right.
Right.
You're right. When you take him some places and you watch, like, yeah, it's like there's some guys that run great practices and you're like, I'd love it that he'd have a new leader, new guy coaching. And then there's some people you're like, oh, coach.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I also said I wasn't going to coach them in their draft years either, because I didn't want to be looked at as like I'm pushing my
makes
kids
sense.
or anything, right? So I let somebody else do it. And
Did you have any parents bitch about like playing time or anything like that, or like you're playing your boys too much or anything?
Nah, you know what? I never heard that, but probably. I mean, but at the
Probably
end of the-
behind your back.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like in minor hockey, you got 60 defensemen and you have 3 forward lines, and everybody's playing, right? So, but as the older they get, then there's certain guys that can play power play and so on and so on, right? So it's not my fault if they happen to start playing well at a certain age, and all of a sudden, that.
As long as it's all fair, right? And if they're the best players, you play them the most.
Well, you find out in probably the first 2 or 3 months when you're coaching about who, because you put everybody in the situation, then you find out who can play in those situations, right?
Yeah.
So everybody has the same opportunity. It's just when you start getting into, December, and you start figuring out who can, who's going to be your go-to guys in those situations. And but the other guys get the opportunity to kill penalties and so on, or get the second half of the power play.
So that was AAA you were coaching
yeah,
at the time? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, we got the big silver stick in town here in Kincardine this weekend. So my college roommate, Reed Yancey's son, is playing in it. So he's coming for a sleepover tomorrow night. So shout out to Yancey. See you tomorrow.
Got an extra few packs.
We gotta go. We're gonna go watch. His son plays for Tavistock, and they're playing Kincardine tomorrow night at 9:00 at night. So I don't know who to cheer for, right? The town I'm living in or my college roommate's son. I think I want Kincardine to win, but his son to score, right?
Well, can we get you a chair? Can you relax a little bit there?
No, this is what I do. I try to sway and make people uncomfortable. I stand the whole time.
I've never seen a pilot land a plane standing like that before.
You're right, though. I do look like a pilot with these on. No, that sucks. I don't think they'll give me another headset with the IT team. They're kind of fed up with me.
Hey, whatever works, buddy.
So Scott, the research team was hot though, and it says now that maybe you're following in your father's footsteps, that you are associate coach of the South Muskoka Shield.
Yeah. So I had a guy way back in the day that when I did the reality show Making the Cut. And
oh, you did that?
I was on that show.
I know some guys that went right to the end of that, or a bit. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So, and he was on the poster too.
Hazy Sunset.
I was on the poster of that. I was the poster boy for there. It must have been my good looks that got me on front there.
You were blocked out.
Did you have flow back then?
I had hair. I wouldn't call it flow, but I had hair in those days. So anyway, there's a kind of.
I didn't think they were gonna put a bald guy on and Making the Cut, right? So I figured you had hair back then.
So like there was no TVs there, so you kind of get to know a couple of groups of guys. And one of the guys that I met out there, I was pretty close with, ended up buying this team this year, and we talk every once in a while through the years. And he asked me to be involved, but with the kids and with work, it's not that easy to make it to games. So I said, and he kept pressing and I was like, I'll help, but kind of gave him the time restriction. So I'm not sure how much I'll be able to help, but it's something I've wanted to do for a while, and hopefully I can make it out.
So what is that? What league is that?
I don't even know what you call it anymore. It was the Outlaw League for a while there.
It used to be an Outlaw Junior Tier 2 Junior League. Right.
Yeah.
So they bring in a lot of kids from Russia and I think other parts of the countries over there. And
sounds exciting.
So yeah, there's Russian, Finnish, guys from all over Canada, US. I met the guys once. Pretty good group of kids, but
and this is junior age. They're from all over.
They're from all over. Yeah.
Who's paying for them to come and stay?
I would imagine mom and dad, but I'm not quite sure. They pay their own way for the most part, a lot of these kids. So, and they bill it there, obviously.
Huh. That sounds very interesting. I've never heard of any of that before.
So I haven't been to a practice or a game yet, to be honest with you.
Really? But the research team found it. You haven't been to a practice or a game yet.
It's February.
No. It's like
it's over.
Yeah, like is it not almost playoffs?
We're getting close there, but the start of the year, long story short, he took over the team, but he wasn't able to kind of make changes, and he started taking over a little bit just before Christmas time and implementing some of what he wants to do going forward. The team was in great shape before he got there, and he's trying to right the ship a little bit. And
so he hired somebody that doesn't show up.
So he hired someone that doesn't show up and lives out of town and knows.
What town is this team in?
Gravenhurst.
Okay. How far is that from you?
About 45 minutes. So it's not too bad.
I remember with the young kids, when I first moved to town, I said I would kind of help coach the Ripley Wolves, but then I was like, but I won't go on road trips, and I'll show up to the home games, and like, if it's just busy at that time of your life with young kids, right?
Oh, that's it. Well, they practice every day at like 1:00 or 1:30. So I work. There's no chance of me making those. And then they play in like Northern Ontario. They go to Quebec on like bus trips, and like I can't do that. So there is a loop around here where they play some teams that are like 20, 30 minutes away. I'll try and get to those games and get up when the family allows it on the weekends.
Okay. Well, you know what's sad is I just saw the other two guys yawn while you were saying that. So I don't know, Scott. Scott, maybe we're not playing good. Maybe we're not motivating the team here because they both it was Greg and then Andrew went right after and they both yawned. And I was like, wow, that's a long way from the pocket if we're yawning.
No, that's a rough start for my coaching motivation days. Apparently, I've got nowhere close. Guys are yawning.
Guys are
We're
yawning.
You're not showing up.
I was just gonna say you're not showing up to practice or games. Do the players even know who you are?
I've met them, so they know who I am. I'm not sure they're impressed at all or care, but I doubt they would be.
Okay. I got a random question. Andrew, we'll get you involved. Do you remember the day you moved out of your parents' house?
I do. I got, where was it? Brampton. I got traded from the Barrie Colts to Erie Otters and played a game in Brampton.
The battalion. That's who
So
drafted me.
My parents drove me down to the game. And then after the game, I hopped on the bus and said, see you later. So and that's when I moved out of my parents' house.
Really? So you were living at home playing for Barrie, and then you got traded and just left.
I love that whole thing. Is you want to come to Barrie and play with your brother? Have the scholarship lined up. Yeah, I'll come and play. And see you later after 20 games. I'll trade you. Glad you came.
Well, that was the following year, right? Because he got traded the year before, right?
Oh yeah, I played 4 games.
And then he played for the Tigers. They won the RBC, and then the next year he had 20 games. And that, which is the most, it was a great trade for him in the sense that you got to play a heck of a lot more, right? And so that was the good part. The bad part was that you're living. You could have played like 3 minutes from the house, and you're a Barrie kid.
And the team you grew up watching and you always wanted to play for, and then But
the point is that you're 17 years old, you're a local kid, you got 4 years left, and the guy that they traded for him, Rob Heisey, he was a good player. Like
I know that. Right? I remember him. He was a good player, little left-handed shot, skilled guy.
Yeah, very, very skilled. But at the end of the day, was an overage, Scott, or close to it?
Yeah, he's my age, so he was an overager too, because I was in OA that year.
Yeah, so you're trading a 17-year-old local kid for a guy that's going to be around for 3 to 4 months. So
were they going for it? Did they have the team to be going for it?
Well, I think that was the reason, but
or was Andrew playing fat boy every time the coach came in the room?
The long bum, Bud Stefanski.
It wasn't Bud then. That was Marty.
I feel like in junior hockey, if a player did that, the coach just maybe wouldn't get it.
Oh God! Could you imagine doing that in the old school junior days? You'd be gone in 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't do it once. No. Oh God, that was funny.
But I still remember when he got traded, because they traded Andrew with another guy, and they called me in the office with one coach, the assistant coach. Andrew got called in with the head coach, and then the guy who was traded with Andrew, they just let him skate around the ice and started practice.
Well, you guys had meetings.
Well, we had meetings, yeah, because they were trying to make sure, because obviously they knew I'd be upset about it, so they made me come into like a separate meeting and told me.
So if they had a good team and like if they're going for it makes sense, but if they're not going for it, like why would you do that and cause such a kerfuffle when you got 2 local guys on the team and they're brothers, and the one just gave up a scholarship to come, and this is for an overage guy? Like, yeah, he is really good, but it's only for 1 year.
That's the thing, is I don't think even though they might have been going for it, I think you were still in the middle of the pack though, weren't you, Scott? Like you guys weren't.
We were in the middle of the pack, but the conference was pretty wide open. Like there was no team, like, because that's when London was really good, but London was hosting. So whoever won our conference was going to the Memorial Cup that year. And our conference, the East Side, was wide open. Like, even though we were middle of the pack, any team could have beat any team that year. So I get it. In hindsight, it clearly doesn't look that good. But at the time, I can understand their rationale to a degree.
To a degree.
To a degree.
Okay. Scott, do you remember the day you moved out of the house?
Not really. I don't remember the day. I remember I'm more of a homebody, so I probably wasn't thrilled about moving out, I can imagine. And nervous and going away to North Bay, which
is that when you left home, was North Bay?
North Bay, yeah. I was lucky to play.
Where's Kuchiching? You guys both played for that.
That's Aurelia, essentially. So it's right next to the casino, just north of it, Aurelia, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, well, no, kind of east of Aurelia, southeast of Aurelia.
But you're still living at home playing for them.
It's like 35, 40 minutes away. Yeah.
Yeah. And our rink was, we practiced twice a week, and I think we had a crew of like 4 or 5 of us from Barrie that would drive up every day. So it was pretty fun, actually. Okay. It's a really good group of guys.
So then when you go to North Bay then, so that's far from home.
It was 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5, 3 hours. That's
it to North Bay. I don't know Canada very well, I guess.
No kidding. But that was a rough year. I don't think I was mentally ready for what I was in store for there, which made it seem further away. For the coach, I think we talked about this last time. The coach that yelled at you every day. It wasn't.
Those
guys,
I
don't think I was ready.
I guess coaches are what their personalities are like. I just would find it really hard to be yelling at people every day. You know?
Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't know. But I probably would have handled it better as a 20-year-old, but definitely not at 17. It made the year seem
sometimes when there's some negative shit happen, you realize that you hang on to some of that negative stuff a lot. And maybe there was a lot of fun times too, right? It's like at Western Michigan, we used to have a blast, but then some of the stuff that happened at the actual rink just turned you off the hockey part, but life was awesome.
Oh, well, when you're 17 too, you're not having the same fun that you had as a 20-year-old in the league either. So it was a little different, but
you're not having the same fun as if you would like when you're in same midget or Bantam, right? You're having fun with your buddies and you're playing, and there's no care in the world, and then all of a sudden you realize that OHL is pretty serious stuff, right? You're not being coddled as a minor hockey player anymore. This is OHL. It's a business, and it's serious stuff, and they don't care, right? They don't care who you are as long as you can do the job, right? So, and as you're a 17-year-old kid, for the most part, I mean, most 17-year-old kids in the OHL do not get the ice time that they would probably think that they should or would or could.
Well, they've always been the best on their team their whole life, right? And they've always had tons of ice time, and then you get there, and then you don't play much, and then you got to find a role, and you got to get used to not for me getting used to not playing much was awful. Like when I got to the AHL and you've played a lot everywhere you've ever been, and then you show up and play like 6 minutes and you're like, my legs seize up, I can't stick handle. It's totally different.
I mean, and everything goes through your mind, like coach doesn't like me and this and that, and you're so and for him that year too, you got to remember it was 9/11 that year too, right? So he just moved away for I think 3 or 4 weeks. 9/11 started, and all as a 17-year-old kid, you think the world's coming to an end now, right? The way it was perceived on TV. So we had to talk him off the ledge there a couple of times, and
it was a awakening year, like you said. Like you don't know if you're going to play, and there was a month span where I was in and out of the lineup too. Like for the most part, I think I did get a decent amount of ice time. I was probably second, third pair from what I remember. I could be wrong. But there was about a month span where I was like a healthy every other game. And like going through that was just a different animal.
Well, that it would be, right? Because you're going there to be a hockey player. And then when you start sitting out, you're like, well, why am I even doing all this, right?
Yeah. But so that was, it was just a tough learning year, which happened to a ton of kids that are probably that age. So it got a lot better after that.
Yeah. Okay. So Greg, how about you? Do you remember when you moved away from home?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I was going to St. Andrews College in Aurora. So I was drafted by, back in the old days, the Toronto Marlies. So the Toronto Marlies at the time were the best OHL. Well, back there they called the OHA, but they were probably the best junior team in Canada. They were just coming off either 1 or 2 Memorial Cups in a row. So I got drafted by them, and I was playing Tier 2 in Aurora. And so I got asked to go to St. Andrews College in Aurora, private boys school. I figured, okay, we'll go play the hockey with them, and then also play Tier 2, which I did. And tried out for the Marlies once or twice, I guess. Never made it. And I figured, okay, well, if I'm not going to make it there, I'm going to try to go scholarship route. So St. Andrews College was the way to do it. But the following, my second year, around Christmas time, what happened is that there was in Kingston, where I ended up playing junior, the old Kingston Canadians. They had, I think, 2 or 3 defensemen got hurt, and it was long-term injuries. It wasn't just, out for 10 days. These guys were gone for 6 to 8 weeks because of knee injuries. So they needed defensemen, and I just happened to be having a really good year that year offensively. And they asked me at Christmas time if I would come and play. And those are back in the years where OHA or OHL was the hockey, right? The scholarship was kind of the, okay, you can go, but it wasn't on equal par as far as the decision was go, right? So, and that's what I wanted to do. So I left right after Christmas. I left that school and then went to Kingston, and that's the first time I moved away from home.
Yeah. For me, mine was the day I left for Western Michigan. I remember going to Brampton in the OHL, and I felt not ready. I went to training camp, and like they kind of told me I'd made the team, and it was like up to me, but I was like a bubble guy. And I didn't feel ready to move away from home. Like at that age, when you start the OHL, I think it was 16, right? Or I would have been 16 turning 17 in November. So I totally wasn't ready, but
what a terrible place. Oh, Brampton. What a terrible, terrible place.
Great jerseys though.
I think Andrew moved away when you're 17, but he moved away to another country, which isn't easy either, right? So
well, yeah, with high school and all of that, and it is different, right? Like when you cross the border, it is a little different. Like,
yeah. Luckily, I was graduated high school, so I was just a slob during the day, other than practice.
Yeah, slob during the day. Can we talk about your bedroom? What was it like as a kid?
Oh,
clean, organized.
Yeah.
Just bowls of empty popcorn everywhere.
Dude.
Popcorn kernels.
There's Pepsi and
Pepsi bottles everywhere. You could run a bottle drive out of that room for sure.
When Colby and I would show up to wake them up in the mornings after they had a fun night out, I would come over to wake them up to see what had happened. And I'd open the door and I'd be like, Colby, don't look at that bedroom. Let's go over that.
That was the goal all along. I could actually get some extra sleep.
I couldn't come wake you up in there. I was like, no, Colby, you can't. No. So Ash is keeping you in check then, eh? She's keeping the bedroom clean.
She turns a blind eye to my side of the bed. She's disgusted.
Are
also.
you still doing it?
Yeah,
you're eating in bed and just set it beside, aren't you?
Yeah, I just drop it on the floor beside.
She'll pick it up later.
Out of sight, out of mind.
You used to slide it under the bed, like you'd lean over the side and just slide it under. It's gone. I can't see it. It's fine.
Perfect.
So Scott, I bet your room was clean.
Spotless.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was growing up, to be honest with you. Probably clothes all over the floor, but there probably wasn't food randomly all over the room.
Yeah, you were more clothes all over the place, and it was food.
I'm definitely a clothes guy too. I never really get food in the bedroom,
Yeah, I don't get the food. I can get the clothes, right? Because you took clothes off that, hey, maybe they're not dirty yet. They're in the pocket. You can't put them in the dirty.
Thank you. You could definitely rewear shit, and there's no point on doing laundry yet. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet, but it's not clean enough to put back with the clean clothes. So it's sitting in no man's land.
Leave it out, especially when you're working from home. You can go a lot of days in that shit.
Oh, I 100% agreed. Pajama pants and collared shirts.
Hold on. And now that the guy in the UK, Sean Collins, that makes clothes for me, has sent me this hoodie that came yesterday. Now that I have this, probably won't take it off the next month. So thank you. Because it is actually really nice. Like, I didn't know what we're making over there. I'd never seen it. It's actually really nice. It's like, I'm very happy.
It looks really good. If you make those in a quarter zip, I'll wear those every workday for sure.
That's only so he can get his head through the neck hole.
What's a quarter zip mean? What's a quarter zip? Is that where it goes down just to here?
Yeah, what the old man's got on there, the little mock collar with the zipper that goes quarter of the way down. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can do that. You should have seen this jacket the guy over there sent me. It was the farthest thing from something I would wear in my life, and it was the most British jacket I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, I can't put my name behind that.
I thought all guests receive hoodies.
We're not that big time yet, but I will get you something, sir, because I owe you one. Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
In the background there, aleshockeytales.com, folks.
Where's my jersey? I haven't got a Leaf jersey. He hasn't pulled these swindles for me at all.
Oh, that's because you haven't came out to your shed to start crushing beers. That's what you got to do. And by the way, Marv, just so you know, in the world, someone has ordered a Hotham 24 2 L's and Hockey Tales shirt. That's on the way. So that will be I hope somebody will take a picture and send it to us, whoever ordered that. But I got a picture from Sean saying like, hey, someone just ordered a Hotham 24. So there you go. That'll be in an arena soon near you. Not near you guys.
I don't remember giving you permission to use my name.
I never did. It's not you.
Also, in case anyone's wondering, I have
it's Greg started the name, not you. Sorry.
That's fair.
That's an embarrassment to it.
Andrew, do I still have your jerseys under my stairs or no? Or did those go? Did we send those back to you finally?
Yeah,
I think they're here, aren't they?
I think we had like a Tupperware container of like old Andrew Hotham jerseys that have been sitting under our stairs, and I tried to give them to him. I think he left them at my parents' house. It sounds like on his way out of town.
What am I going to do with those? Nothing.
Well, you do need them for someday.
You'll appreciate them much later when.
No, it's not now. Yeah, I was the same. I was in the same spot as you, and you know what? Some of them went missing. I don't have them now. And I wish I did. For Colby's sake, for for Huddy's sake, you got to keep that shit. Cabinet maker, Bayfield Brewing Company.
On that note, I remember when growing up as a kid, my dad would let me wear his game-worn Pittsburgh Penguins jersey at practice.
Yeah, you need the heavy sweater just to go for 6:30 in the morning practice.
Oh, what's sad is it fit me when I was in Pee Wee, so I'm not sure.
I think I still got that thing hanging up here.
That's a questionable neck turn, by the way.
That's a good turn.
Well, if you got the injuries I got, then wait till you're 65.
So, all right. Well, let's go through this then. We'll start with Greg. What's the sorest thing on your body from hockey?
Back. Yeah,
back. Well, it's obviously coming up to your neck from the back then, eh? Because that was a questionable neck turn.
Yeah, I think it's the 3/4 zip is a little tight up there.
Perhaps the 3/4 zip needs to go down the 3/4 there. You gotta let the neck breathe, big guy.
It's a good turn. See. I had.
You're like Zoolander. You can only go to the left or left.
Yeah. Well, remember I've told the stories I think about like Ludsey before. Andrew knows it well. Like you'd be talking to him and sitting beside him in the stands. He wanted to have a conversation and you'd say something and he never turned his head like this. It was always the full body turn.
I like this one though.
Yeah. So I don't know if I told that in the last story, but I had the worst, so our locker room in Mississauga, when I played for Ludsey in Mississauga, we had, he'd roll out of his coach's room and just point to me and bring me in his office. He didn't even have to get out of his seat. He would just roll the chair out and call me to come in. But we used to move our lockers. So once a month, we take all the name bars out, put them in a bag, and put them back in. So we kind of randomize the room throughout the year. And I always seemed to end up in the spot where I was like on the end of a seat. So he could always or right out front of his office where he could just point, or he'd walk by and touch me on the shoulder and bring me into his office.
So
I was
Ludsey,
in there a lot.
sorry, you got to give the full name, Ludsey.
Steve Ludzik.
There you go.
So he coached in Tampa
This is
Bay.
for the folks in the UK and everywhere else that don't know who Ludsey is, right?
Yeah, he played for the Chicago Blackhawks, and he coached in Tampa for a few years. And I can't think where else he was, but
So Scott, when we were saying names there, I did say at least I'm not an embarrassment to the name. I feel like you have to tell that story now you're on it.
I feel bad telling it about Ludsey because I like Ludsey a lot. So one of the times I was a player that needed to be motivated at times, and I think he recognized that. And one time he told me, if I was your father, I'd be embarrassed to have that name on the back of your jersey. I don't think
that's aggressive.
He did apologize about it later, and
still does.
And
I
so,
know, every time I see him now, he brings it up.
Well, sometimes you do
Yeah.
things and you feel bad, right? It's like when you you do a 2-hour podcast with a guy and his kid comes on and meets you and he's in the shed and all everything, and then you become brothers, and then it just doesn't say, shit happens.
Yeah, I feel bad telling that story.
Yeah. Well,
Or Hendo.
It's happened twice now. Hendo too. Yeah. Be better, Walter. Sometimes you have bad games, you get pulled, right?
Absolutely.
Got benched. But no, that'd be a tough thing to hear as a young buck, but I'm like, obviously the guy feels bad about it, so I'm sure you forgive him, and you said he's a great guy. So
well, he was hard on me, but he also showed a lot of confidence in me too. So it was like, if a coach is hard on you and you don't get any ice time, it's hard, but like he would give that balance where like I felt like if I played well, he would reward it. So it wasn't all negative.
He was showing like he was trying to push you. He was trying to find the right buttons to push, and you could tell he cared, and he was trying to make you better, right?
This guy was playing like a wounded puma out there.
Okay, I got a question then. What were the mini hockey battles like in the Hotham house?
You still got the helmet?
I do have that helmet here, the jofa helmet. It's in the other room there, but we'd put the jofa. I don't even know if we really played mini sticks. We just put the jofa helmets on, took a face off, and then would fight each other.
I feel like you have to go get the helmet.
Yeah.
So you have
show
the helmet
here.
Yeah. Well, you guys used to, you guys always played downstairs all the time, right?
Yeah.
So
you had a net down there and the sticks and everything else.
So is it with two boys, then you just let them go and just beat the crap out of each other and whatever, see you for dinner? Because it's tougher with a boy and a girl fighting, right? Like, it's like when I hear them fighting, I'm like, stop it. Yeah, but with boys, it's different.
Yeah, well, they broke my chair one time too, right? So
we did not break your chair.
Yeah.
Folks, he's got the yellow jofa bucket on, and that is a gorgeous helmet.
So we used to have a blue one the same way, and they each have one.
All right,
that
there
fits
we go.
perfectly.
That's where I'm
too.
going to take the picture right there. Boom.
I might wear this for men's league next week. We'll see. Like, because these helmets were great for fighting in the basement.
Put it back on. It didn't work. You're moving around too much. Oh yeah. Okay.
Gonna do it up.
These were great though, because they
you
didn't
wore
hurt your
those
hand.
when you played mini hockey.
Well, because we want to punch each other in the head, and it could save you, but it didn't hurt your hand. It was the best helmet you could find.
So you punching in the head was fine, but what about the face?
It's against the rules.
You can't punch in the face. You just look at this face. These good looks couldn't be disrupted. So
that is a gorgeous bucket, man.
Honestly,
they broke my chair too. So that was
we still never broke your cherry. You came home, you laid back.
No,
you snapped it.
No, you guys actually admitted that you broke my chair.
What
No.
chair is this? Why is it such an
Well,
important chair?
it was my lazy boy in the family
Oh,
room, right?
mm.
And
Not used that well.
I came home one day.
It
and
is the chair.
And
It's
the thing, my right shoulder was, halfway down to the ground, right? And they broke it. They've been saying for years that they didn't break
Okay.
it, but
We didn't break it.
But in a weak moment, they admitted that they did.
Never. So even on a hypothetical note that we potentially broke it, which we didn't, if the chair had been sat in a million times and we sat it in 1,000,001 and it hypothetically went back a little bit, is that the 1,000,001 sit? Is that my fault? Or
Hypothetically, yes.
This is all hypothetical.
I think the best part is you sat there, leaned halfway down on the ground for like another year.
No wonder my back is screwed up.
Yeah, has nothing to do with hockey.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
then
You broke your own chair.
do you remember in the basement too, we had the Sock'em boppers. Those didn't last very long either.
The what? The what?
So it always turned into a fight down there. But Andrew, I think for Christmas got these Sock'em boppers, which are like basically boxing gloves that you fill with air and you fill them to the brim. So it's like a brick on the hand that's huge. And so you think they're going to be soft, but they're not. And then we would just punch each other with those on too.
So obviously you guys fought a bunch and you're the older brother at first. Was there ever a point where like, geez, I can't beat him up anymore? Or was Andrew fighting dirty?
So I felt in those days, it was always, I would let him kind of do his thing. And then I would get angry at some point, and then it would usually come to an end in a hurry.
Well, yeah. Once you decided to lay it down the law and like enough, little boy.
That's enough. And then he'd be out of there. But I felt that's usually how it went at that point.
Still remember how those Sock'em boppers got destroyed too. Scott would go down, he'd fake punch with his left hand, and then he clocked me in the face with his right, and he kept doing it, and I couldn't stop it. So then I just kicked him straight right in the nuts as hard as I could. And he threw the Sock'em bopper off. And at that point, the ceiling in our basement was non-existent, so it was just the beams. And the Sock'em bopper hit one of the screws that was hanging down, and the thing burst, and that was it.
The Sock'em bocker. The Sock'em bocker.
Boppers.
Boppers.
Yeah.
I don't think we had those.
Parenting at its finest. You guys go downstairs with these. Good luck.
You had to toughen yourselves up.
So during their careers, Greg, when did you give advice when they were trying to make decisions of where to sign and where to go and what to do each season? How often would you chat with them about that sort of thing?
Well, the OHL wasn't a big chat in any way. I think the biggest thing with them is when they didn't get drafted in the NHL, right? And I said to them, and I don't know if they remember, but I said, okay, you didn't get drafted, now what? Right? I mean, you can't get a scholarship to the US, so what are you going to do? So, we asked Scott, pretty much told him at the time, because Andrew was in the US after, you got to take some college courses. It doesn't matter whether you're Georgian college here in Barrie, at least take some courses, get out of bed, get doing something, right? And so, you gotta start thinking about school, because the chances you getting another chance or a chance at the NHL. So that's when I said, maybe you'll get something with a CIS team. And, he was pretty fortunate. And then, I had a couple of really good years in his second last year in his overage. And then that's when St. Mary's came knocking at the door, and it was an easy decision. But, both of them would always call me at some point asking, certain things, and little things here and there about, what do you think, and so on. And so, but it wasn't everything. The other thing, it was like with Andrew when he got traded from actually Guelph, because Guelph was the team that drafted him. And they showed interest, but they didn't. And then they were kind of pissed off at him that he wasn't going to sign. And then when he had the chance to get traded, basically like, what do you want to do? Like it wasn't us. Like, what do you want to do? So you put all the cards on the table, and it was their decision to, about where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I wanted, it's, you give them advice, basically, obviously, because you kind of been through it a little bit here and there, so you have some experience with it. But it wasn't for me or their mom to say, yeah, you're going to do this. That's it. You gotta,
Yeah,
you
you gotta
gotta-
let them do their own thing. You just gotta let them know the pros and cons based on your experience, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, fortunate enough, they made the right decisions. Things worked out really well for both of them. You can't argue. Yeah, they didn't make NHL. Not everybody does. But the fact is they got their university degrees. They got their MBAs. Both of them played in the American Hockey League. Both went to Europe. Everything they basically have right now is for the most part is due because of hockey, right? So the game's been really good to them, and they made some pretty good decisions along the way. And so it's been, in that case, it's been really rewarding, right?
Well, and that's like, it's tough when you leave hockey and like it's all over. But then when you do look back on everything when you get older, it's like, well, basically have all this from hockey, right? And yeah, we didn't make the NHL or whatever, but like, they're married with kids and whatever, right? Like it's hockey gave us pretty well everything. And sometimes it sucks leaving the game. And I'm sure there's tons of people going through it now and every other year, that there's guys leaving the game every year that it sucks, but you got to still try to remember all the shit it gave you too, right?
Well, and look at even their hockey. Like you look at Andrew, and he won a Canadian RBC Canadian Championship in Tier 2, right? And he also won a Canadian Championship in university. And not everybody wins Canadian championships, and that's not easy, right? And so, and then with Scott, he won a gold medal in the World University Games in Italy, and he also won an Allen Cup. So they've done extremely well for themselves, and even in Cardiff, they won in Cardiff. Scott won in Italy. So they've been pretty lucky. They've been on with some good organizations and some good teams, and even at school. I mean, the year that Andrew won it, I think Scott just left the year previous. I think they were there.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
But you
Oh,
got.
did you not win?
But it's not easy winning championships. And so when you look back at your career and how much you've won, especially national championships, those are the toughest things to win, because you usually only get one chance at national championships, especially at 17 years old, right? I mean, it's like the OHL, they say the Memorial Cup's the hardest championship to win, and it probably is, because you only get one or two kicks at the can. And with him, Andrew, at the RBC, that was a nice win. I think he was 17 at the time, and so they both won, and so they've been pretty lucky.
Winning is everything you remember. Like I don't really remember any goals, right? Like I don't remember any goals I scored. I remember the championships. I remember whether we won or lost at the end of the day. That's what I remember.
Yeah, and you're always. It's like the old thing is, right? You lose with certain teammates, and you may never see them again. Winning teams always seem to, get together somehow, some way, right? Or
you finish seventh place in Hellbron, you get put out first round. Nobody talks to each other.
Yeah, but when you win championships, you're always bonded, right? So
even if but it's not just winning championships. I would say it's getting to the finals. It's like you pushed yourselves right to the finals. Even those relationships are not quite as good as the ones you won it with, but like you still have that same bond that like what the shit you went through to get to almost winning it is so different than getting put out first round.
Absolutely. Yeah. No kid.
Okay, let's get the kids involved again, eh?
Yeah.
Let's see here. What do we got for them?
Before you go there, all I'm picturing now is like those decisions and going to school. And I think, is that where Andrew started to play below the goal line as a D-man? Was it St. Mary's? I think that's where that trend started and carried
Thank
him
you.
through his career.
I was a rover.
Well, I think honestly, it started on our power play there when we started cutting through. And then you decided, you know what, I like it on the power play. I might as well do regular shift too. Why not go down there?
Hey, it seemed to work, right?
I actually found it very interesting, right? Because I've had a lot of people in the shed, and there was Kelvin Elfring, who made a living in Germany as a very mobile defenseman that could jump in, be the fourth guy, get back. But like, Marv, let's be honest. The peg legs didn't move that fast, right? The knee didn't bend that fast, but you somehow figured out how, without being the fastest skater on the ice, that you never cost the team from being down deep. You were never over pinching. You were never caught out of position, but you'd be down by the net scoring goals and you'd always be back. And I'd be like, I don't know how he decides to do that.
What I learned early. Yeah. Work smart, not hard.
Well, that's it. You know, you always find out what works for you, right? And so, and he was built for that big blue tent anyway, right? At the end of the day, his game.
So was I.
He didn't have it. Yeah. I still don't know what had happened. You'd see like a D-man score from like, he'd be down below the goal line. You're like, that's got to be a forward. No, that's Marv who scored a goal from down there. He's just floating around. He'll catch like
he was scoring 20 goals a year as a D-man. He didn't know how to take a slap shot.
Which D-man taps in a rebound backdoor though? Like, what is he doing there?
The one that's not allowed to take slap shots from the blue line.
That's why you had to get closer to the net and take your twisted wrister. You never really shot top corner either, though, if we're talking about it. You're more of a low blocker guy.
Old man's corner every time. One, because I couldn't really raise the puck that well, but it's impossible to stop. I scored last week playing men's league doing the same thing.
See, folks, to get your jersey retired in a professional arena someday, all you got to do is not skate well and shoot low blocker.
Yeah, recipe for success. Eh?
Yeah, but you know, his skating wasn't all that bad though at the end of the day, right? Yeah, I mean, he didn't look smooth, but he got to A and B about the same time as everybody.
He was always where he needed to be, and that's why it's weird for me when I talk to all these guys in my shed that didn't quite make it, and a lot of the times it comes down to what they look like skating around the ice. But their jerseys are retired all over Europe and they're winning championships all over the place. And it's like, well, why does it matter what you look like while you skate around? Because these guys win, but
yeah, well, we're not going to get into the scouting end of hockey because we'd be here for a while if we talked about that.
That's very true. So you were comfortable back in the day at Maple Leaf Gardens, cruising around with that shearwood stick, that wooden shearwood stick,
letting the hair fly in warm up for sure too.
Absolutely. It was I think I don't know if I said it to you when we had our first interview, but it was the coolest thing in the world because old Maple Leaf Gardens, right? I mean,
you can retell stories on here all the time. It's like
nobody probably watched it.
It's like you don't keep retelling the same stories over and over again. Just let it happen.
Well, they probably didn't watch the first one anyway, so just in case they happen to catch this one. But the old Maple Leaf Gardens, the dressing room there, the Leaf dressing room was in behind where the bench, right? So you just walk down underneath and so on. So the first time I came out of the Leaf dressing room, and you don't realize it sometimes, but there's and people probably didn't realize it, but you used to practice with no TV lights on, right? And so all of a sudden you start walking out and there's TV lights and it's like night and day. And but as a kid that grew up basically 30-40 miles from Maple Leaf Gardens, to get out and play there on Hockey Night in Canada is the biggest rush you could ever have. Without question, right?
Couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, and you just know all your buddies, and obviously your family's watching and everything else. So it was I scored my first NHL goal with the Leafs, but I still remember it, but nothing like walking out for the first time on that ice.
Yeah, I saw the picture of you playing, and I actually almost signed with the Leafs after university. I went there, did fitness tests, had interviews, and then they decided they needed more time to decide before I had to make my decision with the guarantee contract with Columbus. So I took the guarantee instead of waiting. But to think of signing with my favorite team my whole life, the team I watched, Doug Gilmore and Matt Sundin, signed jersey in the background, aleshockeytales.com. But seriously, like to think I could have signed with that team when I grown up loving them. And then it didn't work out. Like it was a tough time for, I would say, like, I was upset about it for a long time. I don't know if I'm over it yet.
Hey, but
Doesn't sound like
it. Yeah, you're not bitter or anything.
No,
Yeah.
No,
I'm happy the way everything worked out. Obviously,
Yeah,
like
maybe,
everything works out for a reason. But like,
yeah,
I know, like that's just a hard pill to swallow when you're a young buck.
yeah, but you know what is, I was pretty lucky and fortunate. And, it's always, no matter, I always say this, right? No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I'm always going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, and it's pretty cool.
Dude, you're the president of the Alumni Association. You're
Yeah,
not just a Maple Leaf. You're
He went to get groceries last week and wore the alumni jacket.
wow. Don't be afraid to wave your flag. You know,
I don't do that stuff.
Isn't that what you're wearing right now?
I was just gonna say, what do you have on right now? Yeah, the label.
yeah. You don't do that shit at all.
Hey, when you get free stuff, you got to wear it sometime,
Well, don't be afraid to take us to a game maybe one day.
Pardon me. I think you've been to more games than I have.
Do you go to any games? Who goes to any games? They're too expensive. The times I went to a Leaf game, I bought them off Kijiji or whatever, and I got seats behind the seats. I didn't even have a seat. It was a standing room where there's literally just a row, and it was $250 a seat.
Yeah,
you could buy a sauna for that shit.
I'm fortunate. I go, not right now, obviously, because of lockdowns and stuff, but I go to probably 85% of the games.
Really?
Yeah.
Wool and chop brown ale. And you golf that much? What the hell? Did you golf whenever you want and you go to all the Leaf games?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to, once I'm, finished being president here another year and a half, I probably won't have the luxury of going to all the games. So I also take advantage of it while I can.
Were you voted in? Was this like the Seinfeld episode in Florida?
Yeah, there's nobody else. Yeah.
Del Boca Vista.
Yeah. Phase 2.
Mandelbaum.
Yeah.
So of all the teams you guys played together, Scott and Andrew, we'll get the kids involved again. Were you guys ever D partners?
I think everywhere we played, we were D partners a little bit, but it never lasted long.
To start.
To start, that's what I mean.
It always seemed like a good idea until you got the jofa helmets on and started kicking the shit out of each other.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Well, you can tell that story, but I remember at Cardiff, though, it wasn't. It was like, I remember getting there and Lordo telling me, like, I play so good with Richie. And then we had played together sparingly, but I don't think that was ever the same opportunity. But at school, it started. The first game, and we were acting like idiots. The referees came to the bench. I remember our coach was telling us this story. He came to the bench after the first period and goes, "Can you keep those Hothams under control?"
So what were you guys doing?
Oh, I can't even remember. Probably just like, it was the same thing, like growing up playing like men's league, or even we'll tell the senior story afterwards about that poor guy that played against us. But like, probably someone touched him and then I hit them and then they'd hit me and then he would spear them or eye gouge them or whatever.
Yeah, the eye gouge story. Yeah.
Yeah. Things escalated quickly always.
You eye gouged the guy, Andrew?
I thought we told that story when we were at St. Mary's. I can't remember.
You probably have told this story, but who cares? Nobody knows.
I don't remember how it started, but there was just this big pile up at St. Mary's. And I was on top of this one guy, and
you're on the bottom. You were on the bottom,
yeah,
right?
I was on the bottom, and he was punching me. So I happened to have my thumb near his eye, and I was trying to push him off of me. And so every time, and Scott was on top of him. So every time he went back to punch me in the head, Scott would punch him in the ribs. So we go
I was
back like this.
I was punching him in the face. Every time he got up, I'd punch him in the face. So he'd put his head back down, and then you'd eye gouge him. And then he'd be like he'd try and get away from the eye gouge, and I'd punch him in the face. But I didn't know what was going on the bottom. I just remember the guy was going nuts.
But he kept coming back for more punches.
He kept coming up, and then I remember like Andrew's in the box with the guy. I don't think I got a penalty out of it, or maybe I did, but I remember going to the box and that guy was going crazy. I'm like, Andrew, what'd you do to him? I gouged him. What do you mean?
I gouged him.
Well, why wouldn't I? And then like there was always something too. Then senior, that poor guy. Do you remember that guy we played against like in the playoffs there?
I only vaguely remember this.
So there was a guy, he was being a bit of an idiot, but we were just, I felt like it was like us just being bored and we wanted to have a little bit of fun. And so like every time, well, yeah. So first of all, senior, the whole year, anytime Andrew would like, guy'd come close to him, he'd purposely poke check him and he would yell poke check. And then he'd come back to the bench and laugh about it the whole time. So the whole game, you'd hear like from the other side of the ice, like poke check.
I remember that story, and I was like, "That is so Hoth." Like,
and he'd come back to the bench and laugh about it the whole time. And
because like how mean he's being, that he's better than them at hockey is just funny.
It's just funny to him, yeah. And then like the guys on our bench, you could hear him from the bench on the ice being like poke check, and the guys on the bench are just dying laughing. And it turned into a thing with our team a little bit too, where guys would, but it's hard to remember, but guys are trying to remember to poke check somebody and then yell poke check, and it was like our D thing, like to poke check somebody. after he did that. But there was some guy in the playoffs in Whitby, and he was like slashing or hacking, so like he'd come to the front of the net and we would just give him a rough ride the whole time. Like he wouldn't even do anything at one point, and Andrew would like two-hand him in the back of the legs, and they'd look at Andrew the wrong way, and I was like, he would turn to Andrew, and then I'd crack him in the back of the legs, and he could just like every whistle, and it got to a point where I think he was like, "Can you guys just please leave me alone?"
Just trying to play hockey here.
It got to a point like it was funny, but probably not that funny for that guy.
But so did you guys win it together at St. Mary's? No.
We won the AUS, didn't we?
Yeah, because
you guys won after.
He won after me. So
that sucks.
My last year we made it to the national championship. We had a really, really good team that year, but we
didn't. Our team probably.
Yeah, we had a pretty good team. Like our power play was what, like 30%. And still to this day,
you two were on the same power play.
I think we were over 30%.
We were over 30%. It was the best power play I've ever played on. Like it was just everybody. We kind of moved well, and it worked really, really well. That's where Andrew, like I said, like if nothing happened, like he would cut through, and the guys would. It's just like it would move, and they would come up where and fill his spot, but it would get the defenders moving, and it seemed like to work well because whether he went through, he could score from there. The guy who filled in his spot could score from up high. Like it just worked really well.
I think we were like maybe 8% or something for the first like 2 months.
For the first 2 months, so that was your first year.
But we our power play, like it was unstoppable only because we didn't really have a setup. Everybody just went wherever they wanted to, and it was impossible to defend because you don't know where anybody's going to be. But we all knew where each other were going to be. Yeah, that definitely won us some games that year.
I speaking of power plays, so Hoth, you and I in Cardiff, the start of this first year, we were the second unit, right? It was
PP6,
right? And like we'd get out there for the end for the leftovers, but like we were doing well. And I remember in practice, and I'm sure the other two can account for this, but like you would hold me in check, and obviously I would be too with you, because I'd be like, well, you need to be over there, and you'd be like, well, you need to be over there, and I'm like, well, hey, he's down there. You know, and like we got each other until Lorda was like, sorry, got to take off.
And then I got demoted again my last couple of years.
Oh shoot, did you?
With Matthew Myers, I was PP6. We called ourselves PP6. We never started a power play.
I
it was the
remember
same thing.
there was the two of us on a power play, and we were doing just fine. And then he took you from me, and I was like, "Come on, man!"
Lord wanted
Imagine-
in for his power play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he went up with the big boys.
Can you imagine having a top scoring defense in a league not on the first power play?
That was the
Yeah.
last 2 years in Cardiff, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't on the first unit when you were really?
No, the last 2 years I was. Because they had.
I
Marty
remember.
and
So there's
Fournier on
only
the first one.
there's only certain people I remember for like. Usually I'm as competitive as they get, but then there's the odd time you let it slip. And there was a time in Germany, puck gets dumped in, I go in on it, and I didn't get the puck on the power play. And Justin Kelly said to me, he was like, if you want to play in Germany for a long time, if you want to be here, we need to get that puck. And I was like, I gotcha. And you were the same way. When we would even be in practice on a Wednesday and we're practicing power play, if I wasn't like into it, you'd be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know.
If there's any part of practice that Andrew cared about, it might have been the power play part of the
And
practice.
I'm the same. Yeah. No, but we were holding
That's
each
where you
other
win games.
accountable. And that is like, we definitely had the same mindset that way. I just remembered pushing each other on that power play. And then we had Haddad standing in the middle, right? That was our power
Yeah.
play. It's a pretty
Yeah.
solid looking unit.
Good enough for PP4.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Next question. With two kids in pro hockey, both in Europe, Greg, what are your favorite trips and how hard is it when you can't, like, it's too expensive, you can't go see everybody? How does it all work when you got two kids playing pro hockey in Europe?
Well, I was still working at the time and their mother wasn't. So I only made it to Cardiff once. And that was the first year that Andrew played in the BBT. I was hoping that he was going to play one more year because I would have gone over to see him play in the new rig, but never got that chance. And Scott, we went and saw him in Italy when Violet was born in Italy. We went over there for a week and
Go ahead. Tell them what your favorite city in Italy was.
Oh, so he saw, 8 years in Europe. He saw one game. We took him to Venice, which turned out to be Valentine's Day in Venice. So you can imagine
God.
it was rammed. He complained the whole time that I was snaking all over the place. Why don't you just pick a lane and go with it?
It was Mardi Gras there, right? So, and there was million people there, and it was.
Can't you walk in a straight line?
It was brutal.
The
But,
city doesn't go in a straight line.
Well, the one thing though with Cardiff, I used to watch every game on online, right? So I got to see every home game. I think in the 4 years that he played there, and Scott played, I think I only missed maybe one game in the 4 years.
It's so different.
It wasn't
once
from our
they
play,
started
though.
that.
Yeah.
You didn't
What's
like
that?
watching us play. You just like listening to John Donovan.
No, I just like
He wasn't that bad.
but like once they started the streaming and like your parents could see it over there, like I was in Germany for 6 years. Like my parents didn't know what the hell I was doing over there, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna
Well, the
say,
thing with and the thing with Cardiff too, I mean, it's a great city. We really enjoyed our trip over there, and their mom went over. How many times did she go over? 3 or 4 times, Andrew? I think 3 times, once a year, I think.
he was
Yeah.
over twice the year that we were there together, I think.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
And
No.
the one thing,
Shed's curious. Love stories. Haven't had one in a while. How did you guys end up in Barrie instead of Newmarket? Because that's where you were playing.
well, I grew up in Aurora, which is about 2 miles away from Newmarket, and so when I retired, all of a sudden Toronto put their farm team there, and their mother, I met their mother she was at Teachers College in Toronto, but she lived in Barrie. So when we got married, and the following year we ended up buying a house in Barrie. I was still playing in Pittsburgh at the time, so we just rented out the house. And the amazing thing is we're still in the same house that we bought back in '83.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that's the reason how I ended up in Newmarket. But it was kind of funny starting my career kind of in Aurora, Newmarket area, and that's where I finished my career. So,
Okay.
He wowed her with the rock lobster.
yeah.
So yeah, any listeners, look up the rock lobster dance.
Also on Family Guy.
Yeah, Family Guy.
I don't know
Yeah.
what that is.
Well, yeah, it's hard to describe. It's really indescribable, I guess. So
Is that
Well,
the way he dances, or
So Rock Lobster was a song by the B-52s. And part of the, and it goes on for like 10 or 12 minutes, right? And part of the song is you get down on your back and your
Like a
your
dead
legs
bug.
are, yeah, and your legs are in the air, right?
so you're
it's like
talking like the shout in Elmira, Ontario, when you do the shout,
yeah,
it says
yeah, exactly.
kick your hands
yeah.
up and shout, and you get on your back and you kick them up at a stag and doe.
Yeah,
Everybody
like
gets
the
on the
Belushi.
ground.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
John Belushi in Animal House. Yeah.
We did that in
Yeah.
Elmira every stag and doe.
Yeah, same thing, just different song. That's all.
Gotcha. Got
but you get on the Florida bar that people have been standing, spilling drinks in, and
Pretty sure
Well,
I puked on that floor later on in life.
is that all you've done on that floor?
and you did that, and she was like, yeah, that's the guy.
That's the one for me. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it all happened and started. So
Yeah. So Newmarket, how far away is that from Barrie?
probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes from Barrie. So
That's
maybe
it. God, I don't know
kilometers,
Ontario
maybe
at all.
maybe 30 kilometers, maybe
Jeepers.
35 kilometers.
Well, that
Yeah.
what a setup you had then, that you're playing professional hockey right there with your
And living it well,
kids.
and living at home, right? It was
Yeah.
perfect.
What a
Right. So
joke. The rest of us had to move all over the world.
well,
I guess we got to, looking back on it.
yeah, but I lived in Michigan. I played in Saginaw. I played in Moncton, Toronto, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Right. I mean, you move all over the place. So it was
Yeah.
right. And
Well, when you look back on the countries that the three of you have been to, like, you guys have really traveled. Like, you guys really saw the world from the sport, right?
And we all played in Saginaw at one point.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, right?
Saginaw, really?
My first year in
A hockey hotbed.
my first year pro, I played in Saginaw. We won the championship that year. And then, when Scott North Bay ended up moving to Saginaw. So he played a little bit there, and then they traded him to Mississauga. He wanted out of there. He didn't want to play for some reason. I don't know why, but he wanted out. So they traded him. And then next thing you know, Andrew in his overage year, Saginaw was kind of going for it, made a few trades, and one of them was him, and he ended up going there too. Strange.
It is. Yeah. Saginaw's not that nice of a town, is it?
We had a lot of fun, right? I mean,
well, you can make any town whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was
just like Dayton, Ohio.
The worse town it is, the better fun you had.
I agree.
Almost. Yeah.
That really is how it goes. Like, no, I won't even say it, but I was just saying, like, guys that play for the Maple Leafs and like have all that pressure, and there's a lot of fans and a lot of hoopla. Like, can it really be that much fun to play hockey? Like, can it really be the same as like just playing the game and enjoying it? Like, man, some of them look so stressed out in their press conferences.
I tell you, I had more, and a lot of guys would say this, the guys that have played in the American League or in minors and played in the NHL, a lot of them would agree with me that they had more fun in the minors than they did in the NHL.
Right. It just sets you up for the rest of your life. But
you just have more fun, right?
Did.
What's that?
I definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you mean
the rest of us did, Andrew. He was the only one that did make it.
Yeah. But I think you're more of a family in the minors, right? And you have a lot of fun, and you're
not
going
the AHL I was into.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, even the AHL, we used to travel a lot. When I was in Moncton, we always traveled by plane and then by bus. And even the old Central League, we just had a lot of fun back in those days. And so, like I said, I think I had more fun in the minors than I did in the NHL. As far as fun, right? I mean,
But I also
Uh,
think that the minors were different back then than what, say, I went through, where it was like guys trying to go up, trying to go down. Like back in the day when there was the IHL and the AHL and you're signing your contracts, those teams were trying to win championships. They were trying to sign teams to win championships. It became this thing where like there's a couple vets, and then there's these guys, and then there's those guys, and then you only do this. And it's like, it's not a team. You're not trying to build the best team you can. When I first got to the AHL, they like had signed in like the veterans to win a championship. They were signing the best team they could to win a championship. And then they bring in this veteran rule, and it changed the whole game, because then they're not trying to win championships. They're trying to
develop.
breed children.
Well, they're trying to develop, right? I mean, when I played, there was no such thing as the veteran rule, and everybody in the American League was under an NHL contract.
Well,
Right.
but those teams were trying to win. They were paying guys to play in the AHL or the IHL, right? Like they were.
Well, there was very few guys when I played that had a three-way contract, right? Guys would have a two-way, or just some of them were on one-ways. But everybody had an NHL contract, where I think a lot of times now some guys are on AHL contracts and so on, right? And I don't know the difference back in the day, whether there was more than 50. I think now that you're only allowed 50 NHL contracts. So, you got to be real careful how many guys you actually have under the contracts. I don't know if it was the same number back then at all, but yeah, I mean, things morph and they change over the years. So
Yeah,
I felt like the minors were like, everybody was like, oh, that guy got called up. I'm better than that guy. This guy's better than that guy. And it was like,
and it was not a team. It was the furthest thing from growing up in Elmira, Ontario. And I bet you Barrie ain't that far off compared to some other places you can go. But like, we were a team. We were a team. And then I got to pro hockey, and I could not believe what it was. I couldn't believe it.
well, yeah, you got to look after number one, right?
Well, and that's what it all was, right? And it's when you've grown up, it's all about the team and this and that. And yeah, but you're right, like you do. And yeah.
Well, that's why for like me, I think school was the most fun I had, because guys aren't going up or down. It's the same guys you're playing with no matter what. It didn't matter. Like, it's just a group of guys that were playing together, and you're like over 4 years together, right? So it's kind of like,
yeah,
it didn't matter who was good or bad. You're with these guys for 4 years, and it's a team. So
I agree. It was like Western Michigan. You're signed up for 4 years, whether they like you or not, you're there. That's how it was.
Hard not to have fun in Halifax for 4 years.
it turned
Terrible
out
time there.
it's no fun city. No fun.
Lower Deck is a terrible place to go and have a Sunday night.
I'm not sure you can find a bad place any night of the week there. It just was.
Okay, well, we should probably shut her down soon. People don't like these to be too long, but I don't actually care at all. I'm curious. Okay. Pregame meals, what your go-to pregame meals were. We're going to start with Andrew. I think it was Pepsis and pretzels, because there was always a gigantic pretzel thing and Pepsi, right?
Yeah, it's the 5 Ps: pretzels, Pepsi, popsicles, Pringles, and popcorn, or popcorn chicken by the end of it.
Navigating Lieutenant.
I think by the end of my career, I was doing beef tortellini.
Is that right?
Was my pregame.
Like, as in you're going to a restaurant and ordering it, or are you buying beef?
I'm buying beef tortellini and cooking it myself every game.
You'd buy 2 packages of it. You would have a huge bowl of 2 packages of beef tortellini.
Yeah,
you going delicious. With some red meat sauce with that? What are you doing?
Just straight marinara, just red sauce.
Yeah. Right,
no meat sauce in there.
Okay.
Got the meat in the tortellini.
Fair enough. Okay. Scott, you?
I think in Cardiff that last year, I was tortellini too. I'm not sure if I did the beef, but in general for my university pro junior, it was just some kind of pasta in a very large bowl. Like, it was.
How much garlic bread are you crushing per meal?
Very little garlic bread. to be honest with you. It was just straight pasta, which is the like most old school meal you can think of. But I remember growing up and watching my dad eating a bowl of spaghetti, which is even worse because at least if I had like a penne or something, it wasn't a stick, like a bowl of spaghetti, like a mound. And it was just like, that's what you did. So for like pregame, it was a lot of pasta. Always it changed throughout the years what it was, but it was like nothing with it. It was just pasta.
Well, I had a really hard time when I got to Germany, and they would like, you'd literally be driving to a game and they'd stop at like an actual Italian restaurant that was making like fresh Italian pasta. And then they bring out the fresh bread with the balsamic and oil, and like you dip it in the, and I was like, well, how like I can't control myself, you know? Couldn't do
It happens to the best of us. I love going there and that. Once you get to Europe and you get the bread and you get the dipping.
Right. And they were there, they wondered like why you're not that in shape. And you're like, well, like you're the
Like
one
all the
that
coffee and cake.
you're the one that and the coffee and cake. I'm like, but you're the one that took me to that restaurant. Like you're the one that fed me that. It's not my fault.
Yeah, but
I can't control myself.
Yeah, you're the one that asked for seconds though.
Wow, if they'd offer it. But you're right. Andrew, I'm not gonna call you Hoth, but there was coffee and cake. You'd be what, 30 minutes outside of the town or the city, wherever you're going to play the game, and they would stop for coffee and cake.
And even if you're late, we were like,
Even if you were late, you could be an hour late for the game, and they'd say, well, we need coffee and cake.
Yeah, I really think we had like 10 minutes to get dressed. We missed warm up in one game in Dusseldorf, and we still stopped for coffee and cake. I couldn't believe it.
Well, you have to keep traditions alive, Andrew.
Yeah, very true.
Okay, so Greg, what was pregame meals like back in your day?
Pretty much pasta. And then when I was at Pittsburgh, all of a sudden they hired a nutritionist slash
Yuck.
physio guy or whatever. And next thing you know, I was eating fish and chicken and you know,
that shit.
Yeah. And actually, I felt better. Right.
I know.
Didn't feel like
makes you
lump,
feel good. You're right. It does.
Yeah, well, but it was different. Like right on the road, we'd always eat as a team at the hotel, right, in rooms that they set up. So you go to pregame skate, and then everybody head back to the hotel, and then they'd set up a lunch for us, and it was like a buffet, and you eat all the chicken you wanted, all the fish you wanted, or pasta or whatever, right, and desserts and so that was pretty cool. And then when I was at home, a lot of times I'd stop and get fish on the way home and cook fish before.
What fish? What do you get?
It'd really be light. It'd be like a sole, right?
Yeah.
So
you cooking that in butter then?
Yeah, I mean, it only took like 10 minutes to cook, and it was.
I got issues. I got a bit of issues. I always knew I loved food. I didn't know how to love it. Then I learned how to cook, and now I got issues, you know?
So we have to tell Andrew's pregame story though, of like when he played at university, he would always get a Pepsi and a donut before every game. every game, because we had it like you guys saw for coffee and cake at school. He'd get like a Pepsi and a donut. Well, but then go ahead. I'll let you rebuttal.
But hold on. Before he rebuttals, he also then became the MVP and all the pizzazz, right? So
I will say we used to stop at Pizza Delight, and it was absolutely disgusting. All that food was so gross. I couldn't eat it anymore. So now Scott can tell the story.
So apparently instead of eating Pizza Delight, he decided that donuts were the way to go. But anyway, we're going to
donut? What donut?
Well, yeah. What was your donut of choice? That's a good question.
I can't remember
I was a chocolate dip or honey dip kid, and that
I feel it was a vanilla dip with like the sprinkles on it. It seems like that's more up his alley.
I had a vanilla dip donut this morning. Yes.
You had a vanilla dip like with the sprinkles, like what the kids order?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a cop. I have to like donuts.
But you should have the grown-up ones. Those are the kid ones.
Nah.
So he's okay with it. So he would, I remember, I'll never forget it. UNB. Do you remember that? It would have been my last year, I think.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Andrew was never eager to do a pregame warm up where you're sort of getting limber before you go out for the warm up, which we can get into that. But he's in his tracksuit ordering 2 hot dogs and a Pepsi at the kiosk while the other team's doing a dynamic warm up. This team's number 1 in the country doing a dynamic warm up, and he's in his tracksuit ordering 2 hot dogs and a Pepsi. And I think he went out and put 3 points up on the board or something. But
Well, everybody's different, and
I was so
I-
hungry because that Pizza Delight was so gross. I needed anything.
I find that everybody's different and everybody does their own thing, but like that makes Andrew, and that makes Andrew one of the best players I ever played with, and I wish he wasn't listening right now.
I actually never talked about it, but I'm pretty sure Culligan was on that team. Probably just sitting there watching me.
he would have been on the team for sure.
Yeah.
Cully would have been
question.
watching that. Yeah, he bet she was.
That's a good question for Cully. What were you thinking when you saw Andrew Hotham crushing hot dogs as you guys were warming up before the game?
So you're actually eating the hot dogs while they're doing a dynamic warm up?
Because the only vending or the only kiosk or whatever it was that was open was on their side of the rink, and they're in the galleyway. They're just doing high knees and butt kicks, and I'm sitting there crushing that hot dog, watching them.
What's funny to me is that I actually think it's funny because I think you did that because you were like, watch this, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go out there and dominate this game. And it's just like probably when you were trying to play mini sticks against your older brother, you were probably like, watch this, I'm gonna crush 2 hot dogs, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. And you're still the little brother, and he was like, no, not yet.
I can just picture him. He had that smug look on his face, being like, I don't know why you guys are doing this. Like, this is a waste of time. I'm going to crush hot dogs.
I could so see it.
Dynamic warm-ups are a waste of time.
Like, why are you guys warming up to warm up? We have warm up. What are you doing?
You have 18 minutes of warm-up. What more do you need?
But the funny thing is when you ask around in your shed, all the people that did the dynamic warm-ups and were doing the things right, they still play.
Well, the funny thing is, at the end of my career, because I was probably not as bad as Andrew, but close to him. And as the career extended, it had to be like, all right, I need a little more time to limber up to get things going here.
Right.
Or
I
it's not going to go well.
I don't understand how the guys understood that you had to do that younger. Because like, I knew I had to limber up a little bit. I had to play a little more 2-touch. I had to get a full sweat on before the game at the end, right? You had to play 2-touch intense to be ready, right?
Well, that's another point. Not only did he like to dick around at everything, but he's playing 2-touch, and he couldn't even kick the ball properly. He always had to make a mockery of whatever he was doing. So he
Like
would
the shin kicks?
He would kick with his legs straight at the ball all the time.
Oh, I saw it.
Like, he never bent his knees on the ice or playing.
But I would be
for the
like,
game.
can we not just play 2-touch and like see who can actually win? And you're right, he would make a mockery of the game.
It was strategic.
and the same thing, like the poke check, he would shin kick it, and he would say shin kick every time he did it too.
So he was doing the same shit. He didn't change.
No, it's still the same.
Oh man. But when it came down to power play time, we would both look at each other and be like, she's go time. But when it came to 2-touch or anything else, we'd be like, whatever.
Hey, we did fantastic in that 20 seconds of our power play time.
We did. Really, realistically, we did. Seriously. Okay. I got a question for Andrew. I don't know if you know this. You'll probably say you don't know, but you do. Has anybody worn number 24 in Cardiff since you left?
Oh, you tell me.
I don't.
Has anyone?
How would I know?
I think I would probably know over Andrew would.
I don't think
they have.
anybody has.
I don't think so.
It's funny because I actually almost switched my last year. So I've
So
never
what?
been 24 before. And my number was always 16. And Chris Jones left my last year and I almost switched over to 16.
You were a 16. You're always a 24 to me, man.
Yeah,
He's
always 16.
He's a 20. Yeah, when's Todd going to retire that number? He'll never give in.
When Wally votes is 2.75% of ownership.
2.3.
Sorry, up you there a little bit.
No, it's all good. Maybe 2.7. It's cool. I'll take 2.3 though if you want, Todd. It's cool. And we just want a jersey retired. That's all we want, right?
Yeah, well, I think one's going up there pretty soon.
I think it needs to be flown in the family for that trip, though, for sure.
I would think the family would be flown in.
I got to piggyback on that.
Do you think Marty and his getaway sticks are going to invite us to his ceremony?
I gave Marty I think I chirp Marty every day about his little legs. That year I played with him.
Little legs? Like, what do you mean?
Just his short little legs. Call them getaway sticks every day.
You think he's got little legs? Is that like making fun of my hair? Is it like I
don't
feel
even
like
know if he's got that little legs. It just
I
turned
feel
into
like
a
his
thing.
legs are fine. I feel like your brother's influencing you to make fun of a guy for nothing that's wrong with him. Okay, my hair is fine.
You sound like his mom. His legs are fine. Why are you making fun of his legs?
I'll tell you what. I don't know if Marty's legs were that short or they're big, but they're definitely bigger than my dad's. He's 5'11" with a 5'7" upper body and 4-inch lower body.
Hey, these legs did okay for themselves. I can tell you
The
that.
peanut man.
Yeah.
Where's the peanut man?
It's upstairs in the chair.
The peanut man.
Yeah, long story. You don't need to go any further.
Yeah, we won't dive that far into it. Okay. Well, do you guys have anything else for me before we shut her down? Because I don't know what else I got. No, I don't know. Anything? You guys
Where's
got
the
anything
research
else?
team here? You ran out quickly.
Really? You want to keep rocking? It's only been 2 hours.
That's I think 2 hours is a good stopping point. I think when we went 3 hours last time, and Marvin's got to get up and pretend to work tomorrow. I'm not sure what he's really going to do.
I've got a test in the morning, and then I may or may not have a hockey game.
What time is your hockey
game? Is that on the clock?
No. Doug and I are playing Police League. We've got a game tomorrow at 1:00.
Police League. So you play another department?
It's our division, 14 division in Toronto against we're playing 43 division. So
how many people are in a division?
Be about 200, 250, maybe.
How many people are you going to poke check in tomorrow's game?
Are you going to yell poke check at them?
I don't do that at work. A lot of people,
you would do that. That's too mean. You'd only do that in senior, eh? You're trying to behave yourself. You're probably trying to be a nice guy out there. I can't even imagine what it looks like.
A lot of people I play against are really have influence over the career choices or my career trajectory.
Yeah, there you go. So you're not yelling poke check and poking it away.
No, not yet, at least. Maybe.
Yeah, you got to work your way up to that point. Oh shit, that's funny stuff though. So that's what your work day is tomorrow, eh?
It will be after work. We should be finished our course.
Yeah, I'm sure
in the morning.
No,
so
a lot different than my day. Okay, Greg, what are you up to tomorrow?
I'll be at the gym tomorrow about 11:30.
Getting ready for swinging the sticks then?
Absolutely. Go to the gym every day, Monday to Friday, and
who is the old bugger beating you at the senior club championship lately, or have you been winning lately?
I didn't win last year. I won the year before last.
Who was it?
And then
What's the guy's name?
I'm not gonna
Little
dignify
punk. Little
yeah,
punk.
well, it's a guy.
We'll
I've
get him
known-
this year. We'll get him this year.
I've
So
known-
we're not convinced he also works out of the gym. He might now be the old guy that just walks around with a towel, takes a sauna, and goes home. We're not sure.
Oh, sorry. That's actually what I am. That's actually what I am. You wonder why I don't sit down during pods? This is me working out.
I do the
And-
Andrew workout. I just go get 2 hot dogs and crush them in the gym and sit there and watch other people work out.
So if you want to know where I got my warm-up ability from, let's just say a few years ago, I used to do for 2 years or 3 years, 2 years, I did the Ride to Conquer Cancer. So 200 kilometers, we'd start in Toronto, you end up in Niagara Falls over 2 days. So when I was in Oklahoma, I was actually coming home the day the bike ride started. So I'm like, okay, like, what am I going to do? Because like people donate money, right, for you to go, and you have to ride, you have to raise so much money to be able to do it. So I'm like, Dad, do you think you could go the first day for me? So he's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. So why don't you ask him how much he warmed up as a 55, 56-year-old man about to ride 100 kilometers on a bicycle in one
no
day.
training and no training.
He
I think I
he jumped
trained
on the
for-
bike. He went down to the end of the street and back and said, "Yep, I'm good."
And you know what's funny, Andrew, is I would say the two of us would be what you would consider gamers. We don't really like practice. We don't really like working out. We like showing up to the game and playing games. And my old man did something very similar. We were at the cottage and he's hadn't water skied in 20 to 30 years. And we had been hanging out for the day and he's like, I'm going to water ski. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, but I'm not going to start with 2 skis. I'm going to start with 1. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. You haven't done it in 25 years. You may as well start with 1 ski. Pulled at his hamstring, his whole leg turned black for like weeks.
Does that not remind you of Mr. Church?
Yeah, exactly.
I was just
It's
gonna
the
say,
same.
I'll let
Yeah.
Andrew tell that one. A friend of the family that did the identical thing to a T.
And I heard it pop all the way up and top by the cottage. Yeah.
I was driving the boat and I heard it pop from through the engine. But yeah,
Well, the thing is, the bike too that we had was just the worst bike you could ever have, right? These other guys that were on the road, they have these, $2,000-$3,000, 10-speed bikes, whatever the heck it is. And here I got the worst bike you could ever imagine. You could every time
$75 CCM
Yeah.
tire special.
Yeah, and it was brutal. So that 100 kilometers was just, it was tough.
okay.
But
You know what? I haven't seen Greg or Andrew yawn in a long time. And I don't even think this exam is really a real thing. So I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to go out and pee and we're going to keep going. Okay. You ready? How often do you guys call each other during a hockey season?
Now
Go.
or when we played?
When you played? I'm going pee.
Was this the time we just started talking about Wally since he's not here?
What's
Or
with
we-
the headset?
Do you think if we just go dead silence for a little bit here, he'll even go back and listen? And then when he comes back, we'll pretend like we answered the question.
I'm not convinced he listened, but I don't know how much we actually talked to each other during the year. I felt like we talked, but the only time I would ask, like really call Dad, was to be when I was playing terrible and be like, what the hell's going on here? Why do I suck so bad?
Yeah, I think it was more like back in those days, like you didn't have Zoom calls, you didn't have anything like that, right? So
You got to use your minutes.
so yeah, so it was just probably once a week or something like that. But we used to see every weekend because you guys would either play a home game or you play a away game somewhere. So we'd always see you then. So we'd see at least once a week.
Well, that was
And
junior,
probably-
yeah. But
Yeah,
pro,
I
I'm thinking pro in Europe.
Yeah, but I think we probably talked at least once a week for sure. maybe a couple times, because I'd always probably, I remember with Andrew, maybe not so much with you, Scott, but I remember, and I think it was with you too. I'd always text you after the game and say how'd it go, right? And
The same thing that you did when you were 9 years old. How'd it go? I think it went okay. Actually, I think you played terrible. What the hell did you do?
It was a mental pretzel right from the start. Eh?
Yeah, I didn't play that well. You're damn right you didn't play well.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of those games, if you played like in, I don't know, Sheffield or something like that, I never watched the game, so you could have told me anything, and I would have, okay, yeah, right.
Why did you make that pass out of your D zone through the middle? What were you thinking?
Yeah,
I don't know. I was thinking I was probably going to put it on that guy's tape, not their team's tape. I don't know what to tell you. It didn't go as planned. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to tell a story now that I'm back from peeing and I feel better.
You just peed outside in the grass, right?
Yeah, just behind the shed. Well, it's not grass, it's snow right now.
Did you write your name?
No, I can't do that. But seriously though, Andrew, you're the only one I played with out of the three. But meeting the three of you and listening to you three are about as real as they get. And when I was running a power play with Andrew, and it was only for about half a season, I don't know, it was whenever Lordo let me have him. But when we were running a power play, it was very real. Everything we said to each other was like, there was no filter. It was straight up like, you're doing this wrong, or I think he should be here, or I think he should be here. And there was no bullshit. It was just straight up. And I think the three of you are that way. And I think it's awesome. Listening to you guys chat is like, you guys are just straight up good dudes, and you'll say it exactly how it is. And that's the way it is,
I agree 100%. I think we're great. I don't know what to tell you.
Hopefully this podcast saves.
I don't know if I wanted to now.
Yeah, I've never said anything nice to Andrew before. I don't want to again. Felt bad.
Yeah. If I get back on here, I need to order more of those Bayfield Brewery drinks. What kind you got going there again?
Well, I've pretty well gone through, I believe they call it the flight. I've gone through each kind tonight, with the Hothams. We've had the Navigating Lieutenant. We've had the Woolen Chop. We've had the Cabinet Maker and the Hazy Sunset. But one thing, fun fact for the folks is if you're in Ontario, which is the only place they can send, is if you order enough, shipping is free. So if you order, I think it's just over 2 cases. If you order a beer over 2 cases, shipping is free. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I should know, but you'd get free shipping. It'd come right to your door. And I'm telling you, if you've lived in Europe, if you've drank beers overseas, if you know what good beer really tastes like compared to stuff you'd buy locally, I'm telling you, this stuff is actually really good. That's all I'm saying.
I can't wait for our Cardiff Devils live show reunion there at Bayfield Brewing Company.
Wow, it would be lovely. But we also have a Matt Sundin signed jersey up for raffle at aleshockeytales.com, and these sleek looking hoodies, if you can look at the YouTube page. And what else is there? There's the Matt Caruth signed stick and jersey for hemophilia. I got that locked down now. And seriously, I don't know. I just love doing this. I hope you guys enjoy this memory. And Greg, thank you so much for not donating, but sending the Matt Sundin jersey so I can help raise charities with this platform that I've made in my shed. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That's what it's all about, giving back, right? So
I was never that good with giving back, and I was never that good at everything it took at being a pro hockey player until I had kids, right? And once you're around the pro game, as when you have kids, you learn so much and you see what it actually does. When you're a pro hockey player and you don't have kids, sometimes those guys don't really understand it all, right? What it can do to a kid. Like, it takes one picture, one autograph, one thing, and it can change a kid's life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why you always, as a pro, it's the old thing is you gotta be a pro, right? And a pro means, how you treat people and so on. And, you can do whatever you want in the dressing room, but once you walk through those doors, you gotta be a pro and you gotta think about how you act and, give back to the game. And I think, at the end of the day, when you realize that and you're giving back, and there's lots of ways of giving back, right? I mean, there's the coaching aspect, there's autographs, there's jerseys, there's coaching, it's just whatever you can do to give back to the game. Because as the old saying goes, the game is a lot bigger than us. So it's, pay it forward, right?
Well, and what I think is cool is that, like, guys like Scott and Andrew, that, like, realistically, when you look at it, we finish, we're done, it's over. Nobody's asking for our t-shirts with their numbers on the back. Nobody's going to Pro Hockey Life and asking for the Hotham 24. Well, guess fucking what, folks? Somebody is, like,
This is going to be embarrassing when I tell you Ash ordered it, but
I was just gonna say, yeah,
was it Ash? Gosh, it's cool. No, but seriously, like, this is going, like, we were real pro hockey players, and, like, those leagues were legit, and, like, they're on video games now, and, like, we were real players, and, like, sometimes people can come home and forget that for a bit, right?
Absolutely. It's, wherever you go in hockey and you've done well and you've played for a number of years, be pretty proud of what you've done, right? So it's, you lived a life that guys just dream of doing. And so you lived a pretty good life. And the memories you have, that you'll ever forget those, right? And the people you meet, right, at the end of the day.
And
right?
that's what it's all about, is all the different people you meet. And, like, I didn't know you guys, never heard of you until, Andrew Hotham shows up in Cardiff, and now I know all of you. And I mean, you guys are on my team for life, and I'd love to sit down in real life and chat with you too.
Crush a few more.
Yeah, that's why we need the live show at the brewery there.
If I knew how to do a live show, I would do one. But
where's the tech team? Where's the tech team on that?
I'm just trying to land the plane, buddy. Like, if people could see this from my eyes, it is so absolutely absurd. I got my IT team giving me a headset. I go on to my work computer and I talk to my friends after hours. And now there's hoodies, there's jerseys. I have a Matt Sundin signed jersey in my flipping shed, folks. And that is up for raffle at aleshockeytales.com because of great folks like the Hothams that keep it real. And this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with the Hawk, Marv, and
Scooter
and Wally. Scooter.